Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From the Studio. I'm your host, Corey Riggs, posted up here in our MC22 studio in Springfield, and so thankful that you're joining us once again. Well, there may be a little light at the end of the tunnel as we continue our battle with the coronavirus. The number of positive cases in Southwest and mid-Missouri continue to stay below projections. And now Missouri Governor Mike Parson has said that he and lawmakers hope to open up at least parts of the state beginning May 4th by lifting the statewide stay-at-home order at that time. I think that gives a lot of people something to look forward to, even if the reopening of the Show Me State comes in phases with larger cities remaining at home for a little while longer. We here at MC22 and Mediacom just want what everybody wants, for all of you to stay safe and healthy. Now to the business at hand, we have a great show with a couple of outstanding guests for you. Our first guest is one of the most successful high-profile athletes to come out of the state of Missouri and a champion at every level of football he played. From state titles at Webb City to national championships at Nebraska, all the way to the top of the NFL and a Super Bowl championship. Grant Wistrom will be our first guest on the show. Then we'll have another great story with a group of people that took the phrase "helping the helpers" to heart. When the stay-at-home order went into effect and businesses were deemed essential and non-essential, one local business here in Springfield remade themselves into something new. The Discovery Center in downtown Springfield went from science center to daycare for frontline employees battling COVID-19. Their CEO, Rob Blevins, will join us a little bit later to tell us all about it. Now, if you want to reach out to us to give us topics you would like to see on the show or guests we should reach out to, hit us up on Twitter at FromTheStudio22. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. Grant Wistrom joins us from the studio after this.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As COVID-19 impacts our community, Metro Appliances and More continues to serve you. Although our showroom is closed, our business is open. Live chat on our website or call the store and speak to an appliance expert. Metro Appliances and More is committed to serving you safely. Even in uncertain times, Blue Current remains open to serve you. At Blue Current, almost all services can be completed from your mobile device in the safety of your own home. Visit our website for details or download our app. Blue Current is committed to building better communities together.
Welcome back to From the Studio here on MC22. Corey Riggs with you as we are now joined by our first guest today. He was a multiple state championship winning football player for the Webb City Cardinals. He turned around and went to the University of Nebraska where he won not one, not two, but three national championships as a part of the vaunted black shirt defense, and then capped it all off with the capturing of a Lombardi trophy as a part of the Super Bowl 34 St. Louis Rams. Our guest is Grant Wistrom. Grant, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, Corey. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How is your family adjusting to this stay-at-home order and quarantine life, as people are calling it?
With the exception of having to take on our kids' education, it's not too bad. Really enjoying the slower pace. Not sprinting everywhere as soon as school is out for the day, being able to hang out at home, enjoy the kids a little bit more. But I'm really not enjoying retaking the 7th and 8th grade with my kids. I do not need this. My taxes, I appreciate and respect teachers. And I think after all of this, COVID-19 blows over, I think we're all going to have a newfound respect for the people in education and the services and the care that they pour into our kids, for sure.
I agree 100%. Well, we've had so much conversation about what's going on in the world. I thought it might be nice today to kind of take a walk down memory lane and reflect on football. Obviously, this week the NFL draft is going on, and you are without a doubt, one of the most prolific football players ever to come out of this corner of the state and arguably the entire state of Missouri. When somebody says Webb City to you, what's the first thing or the first person that pops into your mind?
The first thing that pops into my mind is football, and I don't, it's almost become synonymous in Missouri now. When you mention Webb City, people immediately think football, and for good reason. Just the run that they've had since the late 80s, early 90s. You know all about it, Corey. But the run that they've had is pretty much there's very few programs in the country that can parallel their success. So immediately think football, and then if I want to dig a little deeper, I think about who my coaches were when I was there, and Kurt Thompson, Jesse Wall. Those two guys really shaped in my path and got me very far along it. I feel like when I got to college, I was light years ahead of the guys that I was walking in as freshmen with, just because of the type of program that I came from and how I was coached and how I was prepared in high school. It wasn't much of a transition going into college.
Have you been back to Webb City recently? Have you been to a game in the last few years?
I went to a game a couple years ago. I brought a bunch of guys from Springfield down, went there with me to kind of show them what it's all about. It wasn't a very big game. They trounced whoever they played, but it was still pretty impressive, just to see a high school environment like that where the whole community comes out, supports it. People in the stands long before, the kickoff, people lined up the gate before gates are open, the little kids running around in all their, Webb City High School football jerseys and the bleacher creatures and the band. For a high school atmosphere, it does not get a lot better, and especially, here in Missouri. There's other states where high school football might be bigger, but for Missouri football, it does not get any better than Webb City.
Closest thing to West Texas that anybody gets outside of the Lone Star State, that is without a doubt. You mentioned going to the University of Nebraska and being well prepared when you went to play for the Cornhuskers. Do you remember what your recruitment process was like? Because there are so many kids right now. We're coming off the national letter of intent signing time for a lot of other sports. What was that process like for you? Was it easy?
Yes and no. I think it was easier then than it is now, just because social media is not, wasn't available back then. And right now, these kids are being recruited and they're all their own agents almost, like hyping themselves up on, Huddle, putting out their Huddle videos, and it's a 24/7 access to these kids. So I can't imagine the pressure that they're under, because you've got alumni tweeting kids and messaging kids, and a kid makes his decision, and every other school that he didn't commit to, those fans hate him and they're jumping on all over him. So there's a lot more pressure with that comes a lot more, I think, reward too. I mean, kids are already marketing themselves coming out of high school, which I'm not in favor of anyway, but they're building brands at such a young age, and it takes just the amateur component out of it, and it puts them above the team. So I don't know, kind of got on a rant there, but no, I think it's a lot different now. I think it'd be a lot harder now to be a kid in every aspect of the world, not just in high school sports or recruiting and all that. It's just harder to be a kid these days.
It's even harder to be a professional athlete. You make the move from Nebraska, where you win 3 national titles. You end up number 6 overall in the 1998 NFL draft, taken by the St. Louis Rams. The draft going on all weekend this weekend. Do you have a favorite memory from your draft experience?
I got a crazy story. The Cowboys called the night before the draft, and they were picking 8th that year. And the Rams were picking 6th, and the guy that was recruiting me from the Cowboys called the night before, and he's like, we have one of our jets in Joplin waiting to pick you up, but we're afraid that the Rams are going to draft you at the 6th pick. You're like, would you call the Rams and tell them not to draft you? And at the time, I'd have given my right, if you had, you can go play for the Cowboys, America's team, or you can go play for the Rams, the losingest team in the NFL in the past decade. Where are you going to go? You're going to go live in Dallas, where they love football? You're going to go live in St. Louis, where they really don't care about football? But there's no way. I'm not that type of guy that's going to pick up the phone and say, hey, don't give me a job, don't draft me, because, if they do draft you, then you look like a big jerk in that city for life. So, I respectfully declined for the Cowboys, and, thank God I did. Who could have predicted the turnaround that was going to come in St. Louis, and met my wife in St. Louis and just set the stage for the rest of my life.
Well, I say it was a lot easier for me to cheer for you in that Rams uniform than it would have been in a Cowboys uniform. I don't know that I could have done that. Never been a big Cowboys fan.
I probably would have hated myself too, but what are you going to do?
Well, let me ask you. I was doing research trying to get ready for this interview, and I found some interesting firsts. So I wanted to see if I could play a little Grant Wistrom trivia with you and see what you remember about your career. So I was looking through here, and I was surprised to see. Do you remember who the first quarterback that you had a sack against was?
Steve Young.
That's a pretty good one to get.
Yeah, I ran him out of bounds. I fell down at his, I can tell you the whole play. He rolled out away from me. He rolled out to his right, my left, chased him all the way across the field, ran him out of bounds for a 1-yard loss, and just fell down about by the time he got to the sideline. So I'll take it. That was my first sack, but it was pretty anticlimactic to say the least.
Well, I can go one better than. How about your first interception? Because it had a bit more of a memorable moment attached to it.
Well, I'm guessing Chris Chandler.
Yeah.
Was that the long one? 91 yards.
91 yards to the house against the Falcons.
Yep. Whenever I want to, my kids don't think I'm any sort of athlete, because if it weren't for football, I couldn't be considered an athlete at all. But so every now and then I want to remind them that Dad had skills at one point in his life. I'll turn that on and show it to them, and they're still not impressed.
What about Halls of Fame? I was trying to look this up. Do you know how many Halls of Fame you're in now?
We can. All right. I don't know. I think Webb City has one, but I'm not sure.
2016.
Okay, Webb City. The Missouri Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Nebraska Football Hall of Fame.
Yep.
The University of Nebraska Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4. College Football Hall of Fame.
Yep. 2009. Yep.
Yep. Oh, man. That's all I got.
I think you're only missing one, the Joplin Area Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, dang it. That's right. Joplin Area Sports.
You're inducted into the Joplin Area Sports Hall of Fame in 2015. The Missouri Sports 2009 was a big year. That was the Nebraska Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame all in the same year. So you must have been busy wearing a suit in 2009.
Yeah, I put a lot of holes in that one, and I can't think there's any. Every year, though, every year I'm like, talking to my wife about it, and one will come up. She's like, "This has to be it, right? There can't be any more." And I'm like, "I don't think so, but you never know."
You can't say no, though, can you?
No, absolutely not. No, all of them are great honors, and the people that present those awards, it means a lot to them. So it means a lot to me as well.
Well, Grant, it means a lot to you, a lot to me, for you to take some time to visit with us. What are you and Melissa doing now?
Right now, we're full steam ahead, and we've got a couple licenses for Missouri medical marijuana. We applied to be a vertically integrated company, but we missed out on the cultivation. But fortunately, we were able to win manufacturing licenses and dispensary licenses. So we're just full steam ahead with that, and very much looking forward to being part of that and providing quality medicine to people of Missouri.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Best of luck in the business. Hopefully you, the wife, and the kids all stay healthy through this.
All right. Thanks a lot, Corey. You too, man.
Thank you. Grant Wistrom joins us here from the studio. We'll be back with more after this.
Find your next car at ReliableSuperstore.com. Reliable Superstore is here to help with Toyota, BMW, Lexus, and Audi. Need service? Take advantage of our pickup and delivery. Reliable Superstore is here for you. Renew Crew is open and providing free in-person and virtual estimates for all your deck cleaning needs. Their team takes all precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Give Renew Crew a call today.
Welcome back once again to From the Studio. We are now joined by the CEO of the Discovery Center, the Downtown Science Center here in Springfield that has taken on a new task in life. Rob Blevins is our guest. Rob, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing pretty well. I appreciate that. I think my new title, though, is Emergency Child Care Center Director.
Are you going to get a new badge for that?
Letter. I think about adding, I think I might add that on LinkedIn, and probably a new badge, new nameplates, the works.
The whole 9 yards. Well, tell me what the genesis of this was. In our open, I use the phrase that you use in all of your emails right now, which is helping the helpers. How did this start, and how did you decide to flip the Discovery Center into a daycare center for those frontline employees battling COVID-19?
Well, so it really came as a way to help the helpers when we were looking at this with the health department of when we needed to think about transitioning into maybe not being a science center anymore. Like when is it going to be unsafe to be open to the public anymore, and having those conversations. And those have been ongoing. We've been looking at this since definitely February is where we started definitely with our planning on this. And they said one of the biggest needs that they were seeing was when the schools shut down in some communities, they were losing, over a third of their workforce in the healthcare departments, and being unable to respond to the COVID-19 outbreaks at that point with losing that much of their workforce. And so the idea was, hey, we have summer camps that we do already. We have over 50 different offerings that we're going to have this summer. We do this sort of thing already. Why don't we come up with a way to offer this child care for emergency sort of situation for these first responders and healthcare workers? And so that's what we did. We kind of flipped the switch, turned off the Science Center, turned on the Child Care Center.
Well, flipping the switch is a mild understatement. Not only did you take on this Herculean task, but you did it in what, about 5 days?
Yeah, so we had up until when the school districts announced that they would not be resuming at the end of spring break. And so we had 5 days to decommission a science center and open up a child care facility. So we took kids in 5 days at that point. We had 100 kids here that first week.
Well, how many kids do you have into the center currently?
We have 70, but that's due to funding. We have to keep building these models out where we were looking at a model that went through the end of May. And now it's pretty obvious with virtual learning happening instead of summer school. I think most districts are going to be announcing that they won't have any in-person classes in June. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to go through the end of June now, and that's another $180,000-ish at our current capacity right now. So it's all funding dependent on how many we can have essentially at that point.
That's got to be kind of maddening, because I'm sure the need is there. So many of the nurses, doctors, first responders that are working right now, that's the child care that you're providing is specifically for those folks, right?
That's correct. And a lot of these that we're helping, these are families. They have 2 to 3 kids. And when you talk about an extra $400 to $600 a week that they would be needing to pay for paid childcare, that becomes insurmountable when looking at a budget. Like, how do you add in an extra $400 to $600 a week for care for your school-age kids that you thought that you were going to be getting through school? That's not there anymore, and they still have to go to work. We still need them at work. And so that's really one of the beautiful things that comes through this, is that we're able to provide that care.
How did your staff respond when you first told them that as opposed to shutting down, as opposed to closing your doors, that you wanted to change the Discovery Center into a daycare?
Well, it kind of went like this. Hey, there might be a time we can't do our mission. Do we want to still do our mission? And that's to inspire lifelong love of learning through our STEM activities. And so this was just a different way of doing our mission. We're still accomplishing that every day with the kids in the center. And so when I brought that up as something that we could do that Tuesday, that started that 5-day process, I said, hey, here's what I think we need to do. This is what I told the health department I think we can do. Do you want to do it or not? And we did it. So I think, it wasn't easy. It was stressful. We used open project book management as a way to get that done, which is similar to the types of things that you see software development companies using for project management. Toyota started it back in the 90s, this Agile Scrum sort of open project book management thing. And that's really what made it possible, was that we talked several times a day openly about what we gotten done, what we were planning on getting done, and what we still needed to get done.
One of the things that I've noticed is not only are you teaching the kids inside your building right now, but I have noticed a flood of videos on Facebook and other social media platforms of your staff with age-specific, grade-specific science lessons that you all are putting out on social media.
Yeah, so one of the unique challenges that we faced as the Discovery Center was we are really good at doing these in-person lessons. Now, when you're talking about splitting groups up into groups of 10, our science center is extremely safe. We want to work on making sure that our number one priority is not to hurt kids. So we put them in groups of 10. They stay in that same cohort while they're here at the Discovery Center, and then they will not mix with any other class. We actually have like a logistics person that keeps them from intermingling with each other at all. Like when they go down a hallway, we spray that down before the next group goes down. If they use the restroom, we clean the restroom before the next one does. And we're just extremely meticulous with that. So to think about bringing another adult into the classroom to teach these lessons, these very specific lessons, was kind of terrifying. So we came up with a virtual internal way of doing it, where we're teaching these kids through the Facebook Live feature. And so now we're offering that to the community too, because it's a public feature. Why not go ahead and teach our kids while we're also teaching your kids, right? So we have that, and we're using stuff that you hopefully have at home as far as the material goes for it too.
I was watching one the other day that had my attention for 10 minutes, and it was focused on K through second grade, but they had me. I like a good science experiment whenever I can see one. You talk about the learning that you're doing with the kids in the center, but you all learned a little bit about a gift of kindness, a story that has gone viral now with you trying to get some groceries and supplies through Walmart. For those people that haven't heard this story, why don't you share that with them?
Well, James, got to meet him. You're right. We tried to get some tennis shoes. We got a lot of needs for the kids here in the center. There's a lot of people hurting in the community right now. Lots of families that were stable that are no longer stable. But we had a little girl that needed new shoes. And so we had a pickup order already that night, tried to get the shoes added onto the pickup order right before, right after we found out about her need of these shoes. And the guy that answered the phone, James, he said, I can't add them. It's too late to add them to the order. And then we told him kind of why we needed them. And he said, don't worry, I'm going to go get the shoes on my break. I'm going to pay for them. I'll have them out there with your pickup order. And so James came out with the shoes. I got to meet him, asked him if I could buy all of his crew dinner that he's working with, or if I could bring by donuts or whatever, give him money for the shoes. He couldn't take a tip or do any of those sorts of things. And so I said, well, how about I take your picture, make you internet famous? It was kind of the joke that I said with him. So I took his picture and then posted that online, and it immediately took off because it was just such a genuine, pure act of kindness that James did. So there's a picture of James with the bag of shoes. His coworkers bought more of the same shoes. We've been giving entire classes shoes because of it. They've kicked in. Walmart's kicked in on this. It's pretty cool. I'd say coworkers across the city have helped out with that, I should say.
Well, that is a great story, and I know it's the type of story that you guys were even hoping might get some national attention, maybe get him on Ellen's show.
That's what we're hoping. James, to meet him is to love him. I knew that this kid had a pure heart. He doesn't even want the attention. He's told me numerous times, I don't really love the attention I'm getting, but I want, he wants to do it to be able to keep helping. But in reality, he said that there's he works with all kinds of frontline workers and heroes, and they all deserve the type of recognitions he's getting right now. I expect today that his post that we did with him, it's going to hit over 2 million today.
Wow, holy cow. Well, one more thing before I let you go and let you get back to the kids. You've mentioned a couple of different times during the interview that what you can do, how many kids you can serve, is all based on budget. Is there a way that people can reach out, donate to help what you all are doing to help those frontline employees?
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way to do that is to go to discoverycenter.org/help. That's discoverycenter.org/help. You can make a contribution there. Of course, you can mail checks to us. If you're in the state of Missouri and you have business tax that you owe to the state of Missouri every year, you can actually buy 50% NAP tax credits, and that program is now able to help fund and support us as well.
All right. Well, keep up the good work, Rob. We appreciate the time today.
Well, it's great to get to talk to a bigger human. I get lots of little humans I get to talk to, but bigger humans. Great to get to see you as well, Corey.
I appreciate that you only call me a big human and not an adult, because I definitely don't behave like one on a regular basis.
I will never call you an adult, Corey.
Thank you. Thank you. Rob Blevins is our guest. We'll be back to wrap up from the studio after this.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
At Orange Leaf, we're still swirling, just doing it a little different. Both Springfield Orange Leaf locations are open, offering crew-serve carryouts, party box catering, curbside pickup, and delivery. At Orange Leaf, we're all about making life sweeter.
Kevin here once again for Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. Our service department still has drop-off and pickup available after hours, and pickup and delivery for you locally if you need assistance. We will make sure your vehicle is sanitized before being returned to you as well. That's from your friends at Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. We are here for you.
Well, that'll just about do it for this episode of From the Studio. Remember, you can follow this show on Twitter at FromTheStudio22, or you can follow me at Corey Riggs TV. Please feel free to send us your questions, guest or topic ideas, take part in our online polls, and more. Well, if you've been inspired as I have by some of the stories we've had here on this show or in your local news, we wanted to give you some options or ways you can lend a helping hand to others in your area. You can help out our friend Rob Blevins and the great folks at the Discovery Center with donations. You can make them online. You can go to discoverycenter.org/help, or you can send them by mail to the Discovery Center, 438 East St. Louis Street, Springfield, Missouri, 65806. A number of food banks are doing great work across the nation, and we are blessed to have one of the best in our backyard, Ozarks Food Harvest, right here in Springfield. They are trying to raise money to give out 1 million meals in 90 days. That's a million with an M. They can't do it without your help. Go online to ozarksfoodharvest.org/donate and do what you can to help them help those who are meal and food insecure right now. A big thank you goes out to both of our guests. Thank you to Grant Wistrom and to Rob Blevins, the CEO of the Discovery Center. Until next time, for our MC22 crew, I'm Corey Riggs, saying so long from the studio.